Hello and welcome to Grinding Meaning. I am the Expert Layman. And we are back in World of Warcraft. Because running your own ARC server, your own dedicated ARC server, while trying to stream a game that is incredibly spiky as far as performance requirements, that was a pain in the ass. Didn't want to do that anymore. Seemed like a challenge. But the cool thing is, the hours and hours I spent trying to make that work a little better. Wow, it's so easy to stream now. I didn't realize how easy it was until I did something harder. Oh, but the topic. Faulty lenses and a pragmatic supernature. This could go a lot of different directions. You are right to be concerned. I guess I sort of have a premise that we always look in the past and be like, oh my god, I can't believe they didn't get it. But that's what the perspective people have always had. And I'm not doing that whole like, well, we always thought we knew, but you know, this is like the opening salvo to an attack on science. And I'm not doing that. Well, I suppose I am in a way. But I guess I'm trying to relegate it to its proper domain, which is, you know, the empirical physical world. The best way to figure out how things are working is science. But I also have this thought that there's kind of a limit to how far you can go. And how should I put this? There was a discussion I was in on recently where it wasn't quite the nobody knows how bumblebees work thing, but it was kind of the whole, there doesn't seem to exist an explanation for the physics of lift that can be packaged up and given to the masses. And when you actually, and luckily I had got to listen to somebody who actually knows a lot about this, you know, actually went to school, degrees and stuff. And, you know, it's basically you have to develop these complicated models for predicting things and you can't really get your head around what these complicated computer models are doing. You can kind of get an idea, but I guess I didn't like the way the guy was going, but he kind of had a point that, and maybe this wasn't his point, maybe I'm just making this up after the fact, but if the tool you're using to understand something, or to not even to understand it, just to be able to do things at a really sophisticated level, you're just working with computer models, and like a lot of that, the difference between that and like black box tech, which is, excuse me, basically the way we are with our phones, you know, like how many people even have the most rudimentary idea of what's happening inside their phone? That's a black box tech. And I guess he was saying, well, you don't really know it. And I thought, I don't know. I try to take some time and like think about what the person is saying that I disagree with. And I got to find one way that I agree with them, because once you break through one, you're more likely to see others. So if you just kind of like force yourself to see one way that they're right, it's a lot easier to see other ways that they're right. And I think he might be right in a way that like we don't really know. We have a general idea of how it works, but like with anything, you get into the really, really down deep nuts and bolts of it. It gets really complicated. And I feel like I'm going in circles here. I guess the point is black box tech is functionally indistinguishable from magic. And if the tools you're using as a scientist, you don't really understand how they produce their results, but you can make tools that produce results, the guy might not be wrong in saying that doesn't count as knowledge. Because if somebody dropped a magic rock on you that could do stuff, and you knew what you had to do to the rock to make it do the things you wanted, doesn't really mean you understand it. The other thing about, oh god, I should totally check my stream stuff. And you knew what you had to do. You know what? That's good enough. And I mentioned faulty lenses. And it's kind of this idea that, like, we are always working from faulty lenses, but as our understanding of things improves, the lens is less faulty, but we have fewer degrees of freedom. It almost seems like there's almost a relationship between how much you understand and how much you can actually do, which is something that I keep coming across, which I guess at its core, it's the idea that there was like an argument against an all-knowing, all-powerful God. Because the idea is, well, if you know everything, in the set of everything is all the things you are going to do to the end of time. And if you already know everything that you're going to do, do you really still have free will? So it's kind of it's understood that once you hit a certain level of knowledge, you don't have free will anymore. And I think that actually manifests in more subtle ways on your journey there. I guess the premise that I'd have is that magical thinking wasn't necessarily a delusional way of looking at the world. It was the best faulty lens available at the time. And we're still, using the best faulty lenses we have available. And the idea is if you ever get a perfect lens, there goes your free will. So I guess it's, a choice of what kind of fault you want in your lenses. I suppose I'm here to farm. I could do some farming. A little competition out here, that always motivates me. It's funny. I'm always I don't want anybody else out here in my farming spot. But if nobody else is out here, you get really bored. And then somebody shows up and you compete with them and you're all mad. Oh God, that's my mob. But suddenly, you didn't realize you're suddenly invested. And if that guy hadn't shown up, you'd have gotten bored and left a half hour ago. So you almost have to thank the guy. I think what I'm going to try to drive this home at the end with what I want to do is do a psychological explanation of the power the Tiger King and the other, let's call them Tiger Shaman, wielded. And I want to do basically a psychological analysis of why I think that works the way it does. Let me get so closer. I'm going to do an analysis of why I think that is in the best way that I can, and, in scientific terms as I can muster. And then I'm going to do a magical explanation of it. Basically, it's going to be the same explanation, except a fraction of the size and still containing all the important parts. And I'm sorry, I'm having a little trouble focusing right now. Yeah, you know what? I can just watch other people farm. That works too. I was going to do a couple more things, but I think I'll just go ahead and get to it. Okay, the Tiger King. The part of it that I want to explain is the power that they had over other people. And there are a lot of other factors, like basically people being, broken and wanting acceptance and stuff, and those are huge modifiers. But when you get in the room with something that if it just had a whim, it could end you, but it doesn't, it makes you feel powerful. It imbues a certain type of confidence in you that just makes you act a different way in the world. And the way you act differently in the world, it basically signals to other people a special kind of confidence that you don't see in a lot of people. Now, to be clear, I don't think any of the Tiger Shaman I don't know. I don't think I want to put it that way. Basically, there's people out there that once they've been exposed to a tiger, even if it's a cub or whatever, it is such an unbelievable, meaningful experience in a world of where everybody's just starving for any kind of meaning they can get. And it can be really overwhelming to people. And I think there are certain people that have a certain psychological proclivity to, if you have the most meaningful thing you have happen. I mean, what if you're 22 years old and you petting a tiger cub or being in a cage with a tiger suddenly becomes the most meaningful thing you've experienced. And then there's this confident guy who is the Tiger King or, Queen or whatever, and they want to invite you to be part of it, like, how could you even say no, especially if it hits you that hard? And then once you're in, a lot of the, occult-like stuff will come into play, but I think it's mostly basically because of a person who has access to, controls your access to the tigers, has a lot of control over you. Since you're there for the meeting, and the meeting comes from the tigers, well, hell, how about that? What am I, like, how many, wait, 275. I was so happy, never was I so happy, and then so suddenly, 6 points. It sucks. But that basically finding broken people and then using this basically really powerful source of meaning, and then throw in some love bombing and a little unconditional love and acceptance, or at least making it appear that way, you can rope a lot of people into working their butts off for nothing. I'm not going to go into like the deeper stuff or some of the other stuff in that. I just wanted to address like the power that what I'm calling the tiger shaman had over their underlings. And there's a lot more to it I could get to there, but I'm basically glossing over most of the obvious stuff. Now, the supernatural explanation would be something like, there are tiger spirits out there. And when a tiger spirit is exposed, actually comes in contact with an actual tiger, they suddenly realize what they're, this huge, like, why they exist. Like, they realize why they're on the planet. And the tiger shaman aren't tiger people. They're just opportunists. And if you look at their history, this is they kind of were opportunists before this. But what they did was they recognized the magic in the tiger, the magic to influence other people, the power, the confidence they gain from it gives them power over other people. And as long as they're in control of the tigers, they're going to have a small army of people that will do pretty much whatever they want. Because you can enslave a tiger person. If you control the tiger, you can enslave tiger people, or tiger spirits. Especially if they're broken. I'm so bad at predicting how long I'm going to go. I thought this was going to be a standard 30-minute to an hour, but I think I'm just off a little bit tonight. And I just got through. I think it's because I tend to run on, and I'm not doing that for some reason right now. I think it's because it's kind of funny, I've been on the conversation I referenced earlier. I've been on various, like, you can call them like intellectual Discord servers where you actually get you can actually have access to actual legitimate experts on things, which is just awesome. Unfortunately, a big part of my motivation structure for doing the Grinding Meaning series was that I had these things that I wanted to talk about, but I really didn't have people to talk about them with. So, although I really, really enjoy actually having a back and forth with people on some really cool stuff, it kind of knocked away one of the cornerstones of, my motivation for actually doing the Grinding Meaning stream. Because, like, well, I can just go there, but I suppose here I have complete control over what's talked about. But it was hard to get myself going to do another Grinding Meaning without that source of motivation. So maybe that's why I'm a little off. I don't know. I am actually going to cut it here. I don't have another topic. I don't want to start something new. And this will just be a bad Grinding Meaning that's only 15 minutes long. Oh, well. Well, thank you all for joining me. I am going to get out of here. I just needed to get one of these in the can so I can get it rolling again. I had a couple weeks off, and that's always bad. No. It was bad enough not being able to get it myself, and now I got to watch a Night Elf Hunter get it. Why is a hunter a miner anyway? That's a weird choice. Oh, sorry. Spinning off. Okay, well, you all have a great weekend. And I will see you later.